But going back to like infrastructure and sidewalks, I think that what you said was very interesting. Do you think that, okay, we go on the sidewalks of Bangkok every day and there's a pothole, or there's like in front of our office, if you came, you would see that there's suddenly no sidewalk, and it's been like that for quite a few years, and like people are saying that they have to walk on the roads or on the muddy sidewalks. Like, in your experience from maybe your home country or what you're living day-to-day lives in Bangkok, what do you think about like just the normal infrastructure of maybe the streets?
I think one distinct issue that we need to look at is the lifestyle differences between where we're from, the UK, and how they address the issues of infrastructure for pedestrians. Thailand's a different type of mentality because very few people actually want to walk very far. So they're using motorcycles and taxis and other types of transportation, whereas in the UK it's nice to walk around a city. I'm sorry about this, but Bangkok's not a nice town to walk around. It's uncomfortable, but if you go to England during the nice weather, it's fantastic. If you want to walk around the town, it's a nice thing to do. You can have a nice day out and do that, but Bangkok you can't. You can't simply have a nice day walking around Bangkok because you generally get on a taxi or you get on a train or something because you want to avoid all those interconnecting areas, right? So it's a different lifestyle. Different countries have different infrastructures, and they prioritize based on their population, what they're looking to do on a regular basis. So
I think the current Bangkok Governor Chanchat has done quite a bit. I live in the inner city. I drive, I use public transport, I walk a lot as well. And I'm quite happy in the inner city. I think he's really repaved a lot. He's done quite a few 1,000 kilometers of redoing pavements. It cannot be done overnight.
The difference is that, just to interject, the difference is the different mentality of different people is that foreigners generally don't mind walking, right? We don't. I don't mind walking.
I walk.
I'm okay with it.
But Bangkok is not a very walkable city.
It is, but
It depends on the district, I think.
yeah.
It depends on the district.
Because the weather is quite hot.
Yeah.
Really hot here.
Oh, I don't mind it. Just go home and jump in the shower.
But there's a reason why Bangkok's not a walkable city, because unfortunately, life is cheaper than insurance. It's the wrong way around. It really is. In the UK, if a contractor or a local authority left a hole in the road and somebody was injured, it would cost eye-watering amounts of money in compensation and legal costs and all the rest of it. Here, how often do we see? We report on these every day. We see them saying, you know, so-and-so fell down a hole outside the house, and so-and-so, the owner of the house has given him 500,000 baht compensation. End of subject.
But isn't that one of the reasons many from the developed countries move here? For the sabai attitude.
Well, couldn't agree with that.
Wait till you have an accident,
You know, it's...
I mean, sabai is like maybe rooted here, but maybe there should be like a limit to like how sabai you get.
Can I also be honest?
Yes, of course.
Please be honest.
Very honest on this
Yes,
one.
please do.
Because in the Philippines, we have a flooding problem.
Yes.
The flood management in Bangkok is not that good. It's not good at all. And just recently, just yesterday, you know, it's just a small amount of rain.
Flash
And
flood.
There is a flood already in Pratunam, and there is one photo in Siloam area because you know the Pride March.
Yes.
And there's like rats there, in the like near the canals.
Oh,
and I think that is a health hazard. That's a public health hazard because you know that's leptospirosis. In the Philippines, we are dealing with that a lot. But we are trying to find a way how to make our flood management system. No. However, the problem right now in the Philippines is we have a corruption related to flood management system. So how I wish that right now, even like the Bangkok is still not experiencing a major flood disaster. how I wish we act now before another major flood. Because I noticed as well that in Bangkok, there's no disaster education. I remember when we experienced the earthquake
Yes.
in my campus, no one knew what to do. They don't know how to do the duck cover and hold. A very basic disaster education.
Maybe one of the
protocol.
reasons is that Thailand is not in the ring of fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas Indonesia and the Philippines are. So.
Yes,
I
of
had,
course, but I think
a lot.
that's the scary part, you know, that they don't prepare on like in things like disasters. So that might be a major problem in the future.
Does that not bring me back to my point that it's too cheap to let a disaster happen? Because in relative terms, the cost of just letting it happen is insignificant compared to actually doing something about it. And that's the mentality that has, in my 33 years here, has existed all the way through it. You know, there is always a cheaper way of settling something or getting it out of the way or whatever.
Yes.
Coming back to your point about enforcement of the law.
Yeah.
You know, in the UK, if somebody leaves a pothole in the road, or their fence falls onto somebody's car, it turns out very expensive for the person who was responsible for it. It isn't here, and it should be.
Yeah, it should be more expensive,
Absolutely.
right? In your
It should be
opinion.
penalizingly expensive. No, but it isn't. So why would they fix it?
The law.
Sorry?
Maintaining the law. There is law enough in this country. There is nobody who maintains it.
Enforcement. Law enforcement.
And enforcing the law.
But,
Yeah, sorry, enforcement.
Definitely.
A big problem.
whatever it means the same, but law enforcement, that's a big issue.
Can I go back a little to the discussion earlier on traffic and whatever?
Sure, of course.
With regard to enforcement by the police, there's so much of emphasis on a car crossing from a solid line to the next lane, very often at that Sathorn Ramaphore junction. I feel more effort has to be put into checking on the way the motorcyclists ride. I'm sympathetic to people who need to ride motorcycles and for convenience in the inner city and whatever, but there must be traffic enforcement for motorcyclists. Forget about little things, crossing a solid line and things like that. And since COVID particularly, I think a lot of people have got used to eating at home. So these motorcycle riders outside,
Yes.
Grab motorcyclists, they are just indiscriminately riding as they please.
Absolutely.
And invariably, if there's a knock by a car, the car driver is always to blame. Yeah, because you
Not always, but we've noticed over the last 2 to 3 years the increase in the riders. I won't mention companies, but that's increased massively.
massively.
I don't know the figures, but those guys are under incredible, intense pressure to deliver their products, deliver their food,
Yes.
whatever. And it's like, one of the funniest things I've ever seen is that 7-Elevens are like 100 meters away from most people's houses.
Yes.
But there are delivery drivers at 7-Elevens.
Yes.
Motorcycle, I don't get that, right?
Yes.
So,
Convenience.
but the
Sure.
thing is that I see it because the amount of companies that are now placing riders on the streets.
Yes.
We're now seeing a massive influx, a massive number of riders on the streets, and that's increasing the amount of dangers on the streets as well because they're racing everywhere.
And you know, many of them don't have rear view mirrors. They don't use their indicators when they're changing lanes.
They're like this mostly.
Yes.
Yeah, and they've got a mobile
Seriously,
phone.
they're like this
With-
all the
with
time,
phone.
right?
Yes. with phone.
You need
So-
to pray. You just need to pray.
And
There's a whole elephant
with
in the room
regard
here
to the,
that we're not talking about in terms of law.
Sorry?
I feel like we've opened a can of worms today.
Well, I'm very reluctant to do it.
Pandora's
But,
box.
you know, there are reasons why police don't go after poor motorcyclists who earn, you know, $500 a week. We all know what that is. I'm not prepared to describe it in public, but we all know what it is. They're the unspoken reason. They're looking to fry bigger fish if they can.
Yeah.
And one of the ways we did have a slight problem with this in the UK many, many years ago, was they made the penalties for motorbikes the same as it was for vehicles. If you were the driver, whether it was a motorbike or a car, you were responsible for an accident, then you suffered just as much as the car driver did. So it began to sort of bring everything up onto a level. But there are other factors involved in how people are policed here that we probably nowadays don't have that issue in many parts of the West.
I'd like to make a suggestion with regard to the motorcycle taxis, especially those that run up and down the sois. Now you get off the BTS and you want to go, talk about Onnut, Ekamai, Udom Suk, to get towards Petbury or Patanakan. It's a long way to walk. I would suggest something like those golf carts, electric golf carts that can ferry people in place of the motorcycle taxis.
One or two of the candidates are suggesting exactly that.
Yeah.
They're talking about having soy buses.
Yes.
That run up and down the sois.
Yes, and I think for smaller areas, like say from Prompong to get to Rama 4 along Soi 24, these electric golf carts would be good enough to just do the circuit.
Well, in many respects, the infrastructural changes that are needed to make it more user-friendly, there wouldn't be the necessity to have as many riders in the sois if they had an infrastructure which supported people. I mean, most people only do 100 meters.
But do you think that Bangkok has the potential, like we see Singapore, it's a walkable city.
Yes.
Do you think that Bangkok can get to that point where it's a walkable city? Because, okay, we see like who's in charge?
Not with us.
No, congestion charge. You introduce the congestion charge. You get the traffic out of the centre of the city. It's the traffic that forces the bikes onto the pavements, which makes it impossible for people to use them safely. Most of that traffic does not need to be there, and if it costs them more to be there, most of them won't be. And you will end up with the judges and the maids all travelling on BTS.
Currently, many of the condominium developments have these little golf carts to ferry their tenants to the BTS.
Like, since you mentioned the electric car, I think it is, since we have the energy crisis, I think to gradual shift to, public transport in electric vehicle, that will be a very, very nice issue. I mean, the governor could order like kind of incentive tax or something like that for electric vehicles to encourage its operational in the city.
I think right now we have buses that are electric, like
Yes.
some.
The blue ones.
Yeah, we have some, and then some motorcycles are also electric now.
Yeah.
So I think it's gradually going that way. But I think if it was an initiative for the BMA to look towards, is also an interesting part.
And I'm all for the tuk-tuks, but it would be great if the tuk-tuks are metered. Because currently it's cheaper to sit in an air-conditioned metered taxi than in a tuk-tuk. I think the tuk-tuks are excellent for short distances. Great if they can fix meters to the tuk-tuks.
I think there are some electric tuk-tuks already in my campus in Chulalongkorn.
Oh yeah, like near I think in Bantat Thong they have electric tuk-tuks where you call them on your phone.
Oh, move me?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, so it's a lot cheaper than just like hailing a tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
Maybe we can expand the area coverage because longer than I think it's only covered like Bansathong and Pathumban and only Pratunam and not that.
Inner city and inner.
Yes.
I've not been into a real shop since almost the start of COVID-19. To this day, I've not been into a real shop. I've had no need to. I've worked out where to find everything I need without ever going outside my condo, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But the city has changed without us realizing, with all these messenger services and all the rest of it. You can live entirely without going out of your room, or your home. The only reason you do have to go out is because your boss wants you to go out and go to work. When ultimately he changes his mind and says, okay, you can work from home, you can work remotely, this entire city will change almost overnight.
But isn't that something that's happening all over the world? Okay, in the States you have like food delivered, stuff delivered, Amazon, everything, or in China, you order something online and it's at your doorstep within an hour. So I think that's happening all over the world.
Yes.
It is, but it needs to have more here.
Yeah.
I think there's still a lack of trust in the employee to be doing what they're supposed to be doing and leaving them out of eyesight, if you see what I mean. I always talk about factory workers and so on, but I'm just focused on getting the cars out of the middle of the city. Because getting cars out of the middle of the city attracts tourists, which raises income, makes everybody's life a lot better. The city becomes better. People learn to travel in different ways without bringing their car in. You know, the fact that just a school term starting can extend a journey of a normal business person by 3 hours. Yesterday, it took me half an hour to go to work. Today, it's taken me 3.5 hours to go to work just because the school's open. And that volume of vehicles trying to move around this place. And you've got to get them out of the city. You can't do it any other way.
That all comes back to having Bangkok become a walkable city.
Yeah. Congestion charge. If you had to pay like a toll, you do a toll booth to use a highway. If you inverted that, in order to get in past, say, on Nut, there's a gateway there. If you want to come further into the city than that, you've got to pay 50 baht or 100 baht, whatever it is. You'd soon find the streets clearing fairly quickly.